May I come in, sir?
Aye.
Morning, sir. Morning.
Good morning. Please take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
You are Mr. Shreyans.
Yes, sir.
Shreyans, introduce yourself to board members.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shreyansh Kumat. I'm from Kishangarh, Rajasthan. I've completed my graduation from IIT Bombay in mechanical engineering. Thereafter, I worked with EY as a business consultant for around 2 years. And thereafter, I left it to prepare for UPSC.
So, why somebody who's an IIT graduate getting into civil services instead of getting into corporates?
So, I was in corporate for 2 years.
Yeah.
And thereafter, I was looking what would be my next steps. And I was going through different opportunities that I can get. And I stumbled upon civil services, and it inspired me as a good next option, which can give me a wide gamut of opportunities and a platform in which I can contribute to the nation building as well and have a very, very prestigious job.
So you stumbled upon this career.
Yes.
And it's very likely that after once you get into it, you'll stumble upon something else as well.
I think within IAS, when I did the research, I talked to my seniors. They told me that within IAS, you get a gamut of opportunities. Like you get to be in different, like in district administration, you can take deputation in the centers as well. So there are a wide range of opportunities within IAS and within other civil services which are there. So I don't think I'll have to look outwards. I can always look inwards within what are different ways I can contribute in the job while satisfying myself.
I can see that you did your graduation from IIT Mumbai in mechanical engineering.
Yes, sir.
One of the subjects which is available in civil services is optional. Yes. But you went on to choose anthropology. You never studied. So why this infidelity to your own discipline?
So I would not say it is an infidelity. So it was more like when I started preparing for UPSC. At the time, I consulted few seniors, and they told me that covering the 8 semesters of mechanical engineering would take a lot more time, and taking a humanities subject would help me in general studies as well. So that's why I started looking out for which humanities subject which can interest me a lot. So at that time, I came upon Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. It's a book. So I read that, and like it was about the history of mankind, and like it got me really interested how we origined, and what we have today has a lot of civilizational history, and that is why I got interested into anthropology, and I thought this is the humanities subject that I can take.
Okay. Shreyans, since you studied anthropology and you said you studied human development with great interest, tell me, what are anthropological bases of patriarchy?
So when during the course of evolution, what has happened that the erect posture came upon human beings, and because of that the birth canal shortened, and the human babies started to come out as underdeveloped children. So the women at that time had to take care of the children. So that particular thing led to a culture or a society in which division of labor had to happen. And in many society, that particular thing led to patriarchy.
And you agree by the theory, or you believe there are some shortcomings in it?
The theory as per se is valid for many societies, but there are many societies where we see matriarchy as well, or let's say egalitarian societies as well. So in some parts the theory is correct.
If we agree to the main aspects of this theory, it appears that the cost of development of Homo sapiens into erectus and a big skull human being was born by women of the society.
Yes, yes.
Do you believe that anthropology is unjust to women?
I don't think so. Anthropology as such.
Human development is unjust to women.
That is how it has happened biologically, you can say. But now with our rationality in the society, we are able to identify that such thing has happened, and now we are trying to make sure that all the injustices are taken care of and empowerment of women happens.
But if we look at our role as society and as a political class against the Women Reservation Bill in the Parliament, it appears that we are not adequately prepared to compensate for what we did in the past.
So I think the change will have to come from the society itself, and slowly, as we can see, there are social reformers who are pushing towards it, and we need to generate the consensus and the political will to ensure that the much needed thing is done.
Do you believe if we had a women in the leadership position for say another 2 decades after Indira Gandhi, we might have been in a different pedestal on gender justice thing?
So woman leader at the top would have given role models to many women, and they would have come out and made sure that they are able to get their rights. So that would have definitely helped. But at the top, it is one thing, but the movement has to come from the grassroots as well. So it has to be a balance of both. So that would have definitely helped.
Thank you, Shreyans. Dr. Tal.
Shreyans, continuing with your anthropology, seeing that you have special interest in it, tell me, what are the changes in cranial space from the starting of human species till now?
So if we look at our ancestors, let's say the apes, they were having the cranial capacity of around 200 to 400 cubic centimeters. And currently what we have is around 1200 to 400 cubic centimeters. In between, there were Neanderthals who had cranial capacity of more than us. They're around 1500 cubic centimeters. Apart from that, how the shape of the skull has changed is that the prognathism has reduced. We now have flatter faces. Apart from that, you can say this is called the medulla. I am forgetting the term. So that has gone downward and backward. So earlier, what used to happen is an animal or an ape would have this. If this is the head, then this spinal cord will be like this.
Vertebra
will be like this, and now we have erect posture. So that has changed. So that has continuously helped us to be bipedal in nature and to be able to see farther things and help us in hunting. And these changes have helped us grow as a species.
Okay. Which do you consider is the more important event of evolution? Cultural revolution, agricultural revolution, or cognitive revolution? You have read Sapiens.
Yes, I have. I would say the major gulf which was created between animals and humans was the domestication of fire, because it helped us grow our brains, and at the same time it led to enormous power in the hands of humans.
But I asked you to choose between agricultural revolution, cultural revolution, or cognitive revolution.
Yes, so I'm saying that the cognitive revolution which happened after this will be the best one, I would say.
Okay. You are also from Rajasthan.
Yes, ma'am.
I find that Rajasthan's culture is full of gender discrimination. There is feticide, there is infanticide, there was a social evil of sati. Till now there is violence against women, dowry, and lot many things. And still people say that Rajasthan has a rich culture. Convince me that Rajasthan has a rich culture. I don't feel so.
Ma'am, all these things that you are saying, that women of the Rajasthan are marginalized, they have not been given equal rights in the society. I would agree with that. That has been there in the past, and slowly we are changing. We have taken many steps. You can see the child sex ratio has improved. The PCPNDT Act has been enforced with greater extent. And at the same time, I would say the culture of Rajasthan has, this thing has a bearing on the culture of Rajasthan, but if we look at the culture of Rajasthan independently, it is a very rich culture. If you can look at the example of conservation of forest from the Bishnoi community, it was Amrita Devi Bishnoi ji who led the conservation of the khejri trees at that time. Apart from that, there have been many poets like Mirabai from Rajasthan who opposed Sati Pratha and continued to be a cultural heritage for us.
Good. Now let's take a situation. You are getting married, and now that you are a big officer, so your father-in-law decides to give you big gifts. He wants to gift you one bungalow, one car, and a lot many things. And he insists that this is not some kind of a dowry, but rather a gift to his daughter or his son-in-law. So, what would be your stand?
Ma'am, I would first try to understand what is the reason why he is giving me so many gifts. I will talk to my parents as well and talk to my wife, so to get to understand what is the motivation or intention behind those gifts. If it has anything which can hamper my professional work, then I would refuse that particular.
You are a Jain.
Yes, ma'am.
So there is I have seen that many Jain sadhus who are very young, Bal sadhus, there is a practice of Bal sadhu. What do you think of that practice?
Ma'am, if a person attains vairagya, detachment from the world, it can be at any age. So if it is done by the person himself with his voluntariness, then there is no issue with it. But if it forced upon him.
So do you think that a child so young, 5 years, 6 years, 9 years, is capable enough to understand whether he or she has vairagya or not?
Ma'am, the development of mind takes place at an early stage. So it is different for everyone, I would say.
Okay.
So in order to categorize that an 8-year-old child.
Tell me names of 3 Tirthankaras.
Rishabdeva, the first Tirthankara. Parshvanatha, 23rd Tirthankara. 11th Tirthankara, Shriyanshnath ji.
So,
taking hint from Jainism, what is the difference between Preksha and Preksha Dhyan and Vipassana?
Sir, I have not heard about Preksha Dhyan.
Okay.
I can tell you about Vipassana.
Vipassana. You have been indulged in NCC also.
Yes.
Your learnings from NCC, what are your learnings?
I would say the motto of the NCC itself, unity and discipline. During my time with NCC, I developed a kind of discipline which has helped me till now. Apart from that, there was teamwork and leadership skills which I get, and physical fitness and endurance, which was the part of the drill that we used to do.
So, give me an example wherein you have used these skills of yours, that teamwork and leadership.
So during when I was organizing Mood Indigo, our cultural festival in the college, I had to manage a team of around 60 people and had to conduct around 70 events in the span of 4 days. So at that time, all these things really helped me. During my job for 2 years, I was in different positions and worked with different clients. There were interns under me.
You were in charge of the team, or were you leading the team?
So I was part of the team, and I was part of I was leading a vertical in the project. Okay. So there were interns under me. So I showed leadership and teamwork both.
Do you think that NCC should be compulsory in the curriculum for all?
NCC would definitely provide a lot of qualities to the youth, but it should be an voluntary exercise, because in IIT as well, the first year they give us choices between national sports, NCC and NSS. So all these things, I believe, are towards character development and quality of development for the youth.
But no single word. Should it be compulsory or not?
I don't think so, sir.
No. Okay. You went for studies of 11th and 12th class to Kota.
Yes, sir.
After that, you must have also taken some coaching for the civil services.
Coaching for the civil services?
Civil services.
Yeah.
You have?
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely, for the anthropology, certainly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, and do you think that our education system is not adequate enough to prepare ourselves for the competitive examinations? and we need coaching to aid that?
So it is like this: if everybody is taking help, then if you are not taking help, then you will be behind in the competition.
Okay.
Like if you say it generally.
Okay.
So if you want to achieve a goal like faster, or
Don't
let's say,
you think that it's something of a sort of a capsule, sort of a studies?
I would not say it is a capsule kind of a thing, but it helps you. It reduces the time you spend on things while gathering information.
Okay.
But still, you have to imbibe everything. The thinking, the thought process, all yours.
So you are a vegetarian or non-vegetarian?
I'm a vegetarian, lacto-vegetarian.
Lacto-veg. Okay. You have been asked by the government, whensoever you are posted, that you have to improve the non-vegetarian, or should I say poultry culture, as well as the production of the eggs, and you have to promote it in the schools also for the eggs consumption to all. So will you do it?
So it depends. If you are saying that I have to promote eggs for all, that would be that would not be a good thing, because everybody might not be non-vegetarian. So depending upon the preferences that people have, I would consult them. Those who would want egg can be provided with egg, and those who don't can be provided with other protein alternatives.
Okay.
And about the promotion of livestock, I would definitely ensure that livestock is promoted, because that is going to help our farmers have a fallback option, or a diverse option in their occupation.
Okay. So,
okay, Shreyansh, you were exchange student in Paris, right?
Yes, sir.
So, what are the major attractions of the Paris?
Some major attractions, I would say it is called the City of Love. So the environment is like that.
Okay.
Apart from that, there are many monuments like Eiffel Tower. There is Arc de Triomphe on Champs-Élysées. It's a very beautiful street which has like many shops there. Then there is Moulin Rouge. It is a cabaret dance. Then there is many gardens are there. Which
Any fort? Any fort?
There is Versailles Palace.
Have you been to Versailles Palace?
No, sir.
Okay. And where is the largest museum of the world exist?
I think it's Paris, the Louvre.
Okay, fine. Can you differentiate between Lamarckism and Darwinism?
Sir, Lamarckism was based on inheritance of all the character traits that one has acquired during his lifetime.
Okay.
Right? And Darwinism is more of a scientific theory which says that natural selection happens between different mutations that have happened. Let's say a giraffe, this is a general example which is given.
Did Darwin talked about mutation?
He talked about advantageous characteristics, not
Okay.
exactly mutation, because gene and all those things were not there at that time. So he talked about advantageous characteristic which develops from one generation to another. He called it variations.
Can you classify human being from phylum to species order?
Phylum to species. I would try going up.
Okay.
Let's say the species is sapiens, genus is Homo sapiens, and then family would be Homopoidea.
Okay, fine.
Then Cerepithecoidea, the suborder, and the order would be primate order.
What is the common between primata order? I mean, what are the characters which are common in primata?
So it is, you have two pectoral mammals, then there is penis pendulus, then there is no fur is there.
Okay, let it be. There are two terms, you must be knowing it, trips and trims.
Trips and trims.
Yeah, what is that?
Sir, it is related to World Trade Organization.
Yep.
And TRIPS is trade-related intellectual property rights.
Yes,
is
and what is
related
TRIMS?
something. And TRIMS is trade-related investment measures, something like that. I'm not exactly sure about this.
Okay, I mean, in Rajasthan, people, a sect of people are very sentimental about black bugs.
Yes.
Why it is so?
So black bucks are the part of the ecosystem which is there in Rajasthan, and I think this is the same community which I mentioned, which conserved the khejri trees during the initial Chipko movement which happened in Rajasthan. So they are very they worship black bucks and those trees because they are able to ensure that the ecosystem remains that way. So it is a provider of food to them. So that is why they worship.
Black buck is provider of food?
Not directly, but in a way it maintains the ecosystem. It is, you can say, the ecotone. I'm forgetting that particular term.
Okay. Automation and manual labor. What would you support in industry?
In industry?
Yeah.
If automation is possible, if it improves the productivity, then I would go for automation. And if it is increasing my cost a lot, then I would, it depends. I will do the cost benefit analysis and then take my decision.
Will you consider the employment opportunity that is being created or being diminished due to the automation?
Absolutely, sir. That will be a concern. If somebody is not getting out retrenched from the job, then I would definitely look for the alternatives which can be provided to those people.
Shreyansh, you come from Kishangarh near Ajmer.
Yes.
Have you been to the Ajmer Dargah?
Yes, sir.
Who is the Khadim?
So I'm not aware about this.
Okay. What are these Sufi silsilas?
Sir, Sufi silsilas are schools of Sufi orders.
Right.
So there have been many, but the prominent ones have been Chishti order, Sohrawardi silsila and Naqshbandi silsila.
This Ajmer Dargah belongs to which order?
Chishti order.
Okay. Tell me, who said this, that if you can't have bread, eat cake? Some historical figure?
If you can't have bread,
Eat cake. Yeah. Makes sense to you?
Maybe from someone from Charvak philosophy.
Okay. Can you tell me the big four consultancies?
In accounting or?
In accounting, yeah?
In accounting. KPMG, Ernst & Young, PwC, Deloitte.
Okay. It is said that a consultant, and you have been a consultant, is one who can con people and insult people and then make them pay a hefty bill also. Do you agree?
So there might have been some instances which led people to believe that such thing happens. But whatever my experience have been, I think consultants help firms to ensure that their operations are streamlined and they are ahead of the competition. So I don't think it is anything about conning, but there might have been some instances which led people to believe that.
Which company is, which business is said to be a cash cow?
So
Any business vertical or anything? No, in comparison, we say that this is a cash cow.
okay.
So what is a cash cow?
No, I'm not able to relate it to anything right now.
In Paris, like there have been a yellow jackets movement.
Yeah.
So why this yellow color of jackets?
So what had happened that the Paris government or the French government had mandated that every driver, every motor vehicle driver would have a yellow color vest in his car, in his or her car. So when this movement arrived, this was an easy way of like branding oneself. So that is why yellow vest movement happened.
Okay. What do you understand by extradition?
So extradition would refer to getting a criminal or a person with some alleged crimes to his country of origin or some other country from a country where he is currently is.
Okay. Another related term is consular access. So what do you mean by consular access?
Consular access would be the access to the counselors which are there, which are stationed in the foreign country of to the person who is from that country of origin.
Okay. One final question to you. Like recently this SC/ST Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989 has been in news.
Yes.
So Supreme Court came up with a verdict and then the government came up with an amendment to neutralize the verdict. What is your view? Where do you stand?
So I would say there have been many instances of atrocities towards SC and ST, and such kind of discrimination or atrocities should not happen. And if anybody is doing it, he should be penalized.
That is true, but do you agree with Supreme Court more, or like
I would agree with government more, but at the same time there should be some steps which should be taken to ensure that false accusations are not there.
Okay, so
Shreyans, you studied anthropology and you're watching politics and all nowadays. Can you tell me what's wrong with our marriage system that we do not have happily married politicians at the helm of the affairs?
Happily married politician?
Leading a country or leading the major parties in the country. We don't have happily married politicians at all. I mean, we don't see many. There are some, but we don't see many.
So
I just want to inform you that we are having similar problems in civil services also. Marital discord is taking a toll in fresh bureaucrats getting into. So this is a serious problem.
So in politics and bureaucracy as well, I think the work is too much that the person gets wedded to the work and is not able to give time to the person or the life partner that he had or has chosen. So maybe that could be a reason, but exactly I'll have to talk to people to understand like what exactly is the reason behind, because there are some successes and there are some failures. So I'll have to do some research before coming with the researched answer.
And then you'll decide whether you'll get into civil services or you'll get married.
No, sir.
You'll do both.
So I think I'll be able to balance the work and my marriage.
Okay, it was very nice talking to you. You can leave now.
Thanks.
आइए श्रेयांश बैठिए. Okay, so what's your take? How do you rate your own performance in the interview?
So I think I would have to study a little more. I was not sure about the primate order things, and also the Preksha Dhyan. I'll have to.
Preksha Dhyan is for Jainism.
If any
Yeah,
Jain
but
sits
like
in the board or somebody would have done it, then the question may arise.
Okay.
Shreyans, by and large, our understanding is that you're a very promising candidate. You're very promising. The only problem you have is that you have you against you. Okay, so that's our concern. Otherwise, by and large, your posture, except at a few places where I'll be telling you, your posture is otherwise good. Your voice is very energetic and voice level is really good. Eye contact, by and large, apart from a few places, that too I'll tell you, it is good. And by and large, your communication parameters are very energetic. I'm not saying they are the best, but they are very energetic. The problem basically is that at places it becomes very informal. Okay, there are many places where such things happen. For example, if you go to the posture thing, on both places, one is the listening posture and the thinking posture. They need changes. Okay, your thinking posture is like this. Okay, and your listening posture is also like you're ready to pounce on something. Okay. So I'll advise you to be more formal in your listening and thinking. Your facial expressions and non-verbal communication during your listening and thinking, I'll advise you to improve. My biggest advice will be that please look at your video, which will be given to you by email probably twice. One is with voice and one after you mute it. Okay, especially look at it how you look when you mute it. Okay, because your non-verbal communication, there are areas where I am sure you would like to improve. You're very energetic. Your background is really good. You have a very diverse kind of experience as well in limited. You're very young. You need to understand the place you are at 24. At 24, if you are getting into this service, we are talking to somebody who can actually be cabinet secretary someday. Okay, and you need to let this gravity seep in. That's the gravity of the situation. Right now, it appears that you are actually not feeling the gravity of it. So that is making you informal at places. Because you may actually get into, if you perform very good, even if you don't perform very good, you may actually get into service. But there's no point getting into allied services or getting into IAS after 2 years, because getting into IAS after 2 years will not have the same impact as getting into IAS in 24. So I'll advise you to get serious on this. Okay, that will be helping you. My biggest issue with you is your non-verbal communication is your hand movement. Okay, I hope you realize that sometimes it gets very theatrical even. Okay, I understand that sometimes you actually have to say, especially if you're discussing, say, anthropology and you wanted to illustrate or demonstrate something, you may have once or twice you can have it, but it was getting dramatic. So curb your hand movement thing. That will be very helpful. Same is the question when sometimes you either bluff or you venture into the area you're not most comfortable in, and that you do deliberately. I mean, you don't realize that nobody is asking the areas, but you're still venturing into the areas which are not your forte. So I'll advise you to be a little cautious. Don't give. See, very smart candidates do give leading answers, but smart candidate is the one who gives leading answer to lead in the area which is the area of strength. You're getting my point? If you're leading somebody into the area which is not your area of strength, then it is not really a smart way of doing it, right? So you can actually work on that also. Otherwise, you are really, really good candidate. You understand the BTech, the areas you have worked on, the kind of personality, the personality outlook you have. There shouldn't be anything that can stop you, except of course you. Okay, so you are doing fine, but I know you can do a lot better, right? You are a very, very promising candidate. This is one of the most entertaining interview we took. I want it to be more than entertaining. Okay?
Thank you.
All the best.
Thanks.